New report on the state of education in our state that suggests overall that the state has made some key progress in certain areas, but also suggests some weak points as well. And I want to bring in President Robin Steens, the president of Advance Illinois. It's an education policy and advocacy organization, to speak a little bit more about what we're seeing here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Delighted to be here.
And did I pronounce your last name correctly? Is it Steens?
Dane's like when you spill.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Thank you so much. So let's talk about this report. Let's start with the good, if we can here. Where are you seeing that there are key areas making progress? What are those key areas?
So the point of education overall is we want kids to move their way through the system, both learning what they need to learn, but then earning high school degrees, and even better, earning a 2-year degree, an industry recognized credential, or a 4-year degree. And our overall educational attainment here in Illinois has been steadily increasing. It is at an all-time high as of this report. And better still, not only are we doing better overall, but every single student group, every demographic has improved the amount of education they've got. And we care about that because it makes it that much more likely that folks will be employed, have higher lifetime earnings, and better health and civic outcomes.
Wow. And it's so wide reaching, of course, really, anytime we talk about education. What are the shortcomings of this particular study?
So there is a lot that goes into making sure kids make it all the way to and through our educational system. We are seeing some good news that the number of students who are entering kindergarten developmentally ready to go across the domains we look at is improving from 24% to 32%. So that's good growth, but that's still just a third of our students being ready when they enter. If you look ahead to 4th grade and 8th grade reading and math proficiency, there's some bad news and there's some good news. The bad news is about a third of our students are reading and doing math where we would want them to be. We had been improving, and then COVID came, and COVID wiped out a lot of that progress, not just in Illinois, but around the country. So it's not good news that we're where we were 10 plus years ago. But what I'd want your viewers to understand is that we actually weathered COVID better than most states in the country. We are second and third in the country for our 8th grade reading and math. And we are growing our students better than virtually all other states. And that's been true for quite a while. But the growth that we're seeing between 3rd and 8th grade here in Illinois is among the top 10, has been for a while, and continues to be. So there's reason to believe that we're doing the right things, and that if we continue, not only will we recover from COVID, but we're going to start to move ahead.
Yeah, when you talk about doing the right things, I see that in 2017, Illinois implemented the Kindergarten Individual Development Survey. Tell me about that and why we're not seeing maybe more improvements based on it.
So when we started implementing KIDS, it is an observational tool that allows us to actually understand how ready students are when they're entering kindergarten. So this is before we required any formal schooling. And we didn't used to be able to look at that across all communities and school districts. So it's great that we have the information. When we first started doing it, about a quarter of our students were demonstrating that readiness across the board. We're up to about a third. So that's good. That's actually a striking amount of progress in a relatively short period of time. But as you say, it's not good that it's just a third of students. We need that to be much better. But also what's disturbing is that even before students have started formal schooling, disparities have started to emerge across lines of income, across lines of race, across lines of language and learning style. So there's clearly more that we need to do in that early childhood space as a state.
Yeah, that was certainly about to be my next question, looking at the disparities here. I do want to know, do you look at Chicago specifically versus the suburbs? What are some of your distinctions that you make?
We do. We don't break out Chicago here, but if you go into the report, I think there's some places you can click and look at some of the any district that you might be interested in. But we do at portions look at suburban versus urban versus rural to see if there are disparities by geography. And there are in some places. We're particularly seeing that when we look at, do we have enough teachers? And do we have enough teachers for the classrooms? And so therefore, are we able to keep those teacher-student ratios down? And we see that our suburbs are doing a better job there, and our urban and our rural areas are having a harder time finding the teachers that they need. And we're also seeing some shortfalls in our special education and our bilingual teachers, that we don't have enough to go around. So yeah, we break it up lots of different ways. Chicago generally mirrors state trends in most of the areas of the report. They actually had a stronger rebound on some of those academic proficiencies than some of the other parts of the state, which might be good news for your viewers.
Wow. I was kind of caught by your words about special education teachers and things of that, because if I'm not mistaken, that was a part of the cost cutting measures for the last budget when it came to the back and forth between the city and the school district.
Yeah, one of the challenges that we see in the teacher pipeline is that vacancy rates are particularly severe in rural areas and urban areas. Chicago, for example, its teacher vacancy rate is roughly double that of the rest of the state. So it is, they have been looking to add teachers. They very much needed to add teachers, as did other urban and rural areas. A, it's harder to come by them, and B, obviously with financial and budget constraints, it's going to be more of a challenge.
Yeah, those budget constraints only continue to get worse, it seems. So I see your report raises concerns about an affordability crisis for higher education. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So the good news story in Illinois is that we made a commitment in Illinois in 2017. We changed the K-12 school funding formula to put more money in and to send it to the districts that need it the most. And we have moved from 47th in state funding in the nation to 18th in an incredibly short period of time. I mean, it just goes to show, if we make a plan and stick with it, we can move mountains. We need to move mountains in higher education, because what we see for our four-year colleges and universities, we are 48th in the nation in funding. And what that means is that it's when state funding goes down, tuition increases. And that's what we're seeing here, that how expensive it is, the percent of a median family income that you have to spend to go to college is going up, up, up. That is pricing out students. And in fact, we're seeing the number of new high school graduates enrolling in post-secondary. It was climbing, and it is starting to drop. So that's bad news. If they're going, they're completing. We need to get better investment in 4 years, bring those tuition prices down, and make sure more students are attending.
Yeah. So when you put out a report like this, obviously it's educational. I mean, there's a lot in here, and this is why I've been asking you so many questions. There's a lot in here that we don't know about the general public, and we are informed about through you putting out this work. But beyond just informing people, what do you expect to come from this?
We do this every other year. It is a lot of data. There are 80 data points, metrics that we pay attention to, because our deep-seated belief is that we are going to make better decisions, policy decisions, local program decisions, if we've got good information. And so it is important, and it's important for everybody to have access to that. It's our full-time day job to stay on top of this, but parents and district leaders and teachers and community leaders, as well as state policymakers, need to have access to it. So if you go on advanceillinois.org, you'll find our report and all the data tables that show you how we're doing on each of those metrics, how we've been doing over time, how we compare to the best states in the country, how we look across demographics. It's all there so that people can use it readily to make informed decisions, because this isn't easy work and there's a lot at stake.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot at stake, but we appreciate the work that you're doing to put this information out for all of us to sift through and to make better decisions in the future.